Step back in time to revisit the legendary cast of The Ten Commandments, 1956, one of Hollywood's most iconic biblical epics. While the film remains a timeless masterpiece, many of the stars who brought its powerful story to life have sadly passed away, some under tragic and unexpected circumstances. In this video, we explore the lives, careers, and heartbreaking fates of the actors who made this classic unforgettable. From household names to unforgettable supporting characters, discover the emotional stories behind the fame. Join us as we pay tribute to these remarkable performers and the legacies they left behind. Charlton Heston was born on October 4, 1923, and played Moses in The Ten Commandments in 1956 at the age of 33. As the defiant prophet who parted the Red Sea, Heston's portrayal was godlike, commanding reverence both on and off the screen. Yet behind the biblical grandeur was a man entangled in contradictions. Though celebrated for civil rights marches early in his career, he later aligned with far-right ideologies, becoming a figurehead of the NRA and an unapologetic voice for gun rights, which alienated former allies. In Hollywood, whispers circled about Heston's overbearing personality. Co-stars found him stiff, arrogant, and obsessed with moral superiority. Off-camera, he reportedly manipulated directors to protect his saintly image, even demanding script rewrites to avoid moral ambiguity. His son Fraser struggled under the shadow of his father's iconic legacy, and their strained relationship became Hollywood rumor. In private, Heston battled early memory loss long before his Alzheimer's diagnosis. He died on April 5, 2008, from pneumonia and complications related to Alzheimer's disease, aged 84. And Baxter, born May 7, 1923, took on the role of the passionate and emotionally volatile Nefertiti in The Ten Commandments at age 33. But while her character schemed for love and power, Baxter's off-screen life mirrored that turmoil too closely. Her first marriage to actor John Hodiak ended bitterly, with rumors of infidelity and physical confrontations. She later became entangled in a bizarre romance with a bullfighter, even moving to Mexico in pursuit of him, which led to a humiliating media frenzy when he publicly rejected her. Professionally, Baxter struggled with being cast as a second-tier Bette Davis, a label that haunted her after All About Eve. She suffered from deep insecurities and reportedly used alcohol to cope, often showing up on set emotionally erratic. Though she masked it with poise, those close to her described a life plagued by loneliness and obsessive romantic pursuits. She died on December 12, 1985, of a brain aneurysm at age 62. Yul Brynner was born on July 11, 1920, and at 36, took on the role of Ramesses in The Ten Commandments, commanding the screen as the iron-willed pharaoh. But behind that regal exterior was a man shrouded in myth and half-truths. Brynner wove a web of lies about his background, claiming aristocratic Swiss roots or Mongolian ancestry depending on his mood. His need for control bled into his love life. He married 4 times, fathered multiple children, and maintained an endless string of mistresses, many half his age. He was known for fits of rage on set, demanding reshoots and clashing with directors when not given top billing. In one infamous incident, he allegedly sabotaged a co-star's lighting to maintain dominance in a scene. Brynner's obsessive chain-smoking, he smoked up to 5 packs a day, became a symbol of his defiance. Ironically, it killed him. He died on October 10, 1985, from lung cancer, aged 65. Edward G. Robinson, born December 12, 1893, portrayed the scheming Dathan at 63 years old, a man whose greed and betrayal epitomized survival at all costs. Off-screen, Robinson himself faced betrayal by the very industry he helped shape. During the Red Scare, he was blacklisted, not for being a communist, but for attending too many liberal gatherings. His friendly testimony to WAC branded him a coward in the eyes of former friends. Studios abandoned him, and his name vanished from marquees overnight. His marriage to Gladys Lloyd ended in bitterness, with allegations of emotional cruelty and long-standing affairs. Robinson buried himself in art collecting, spending obsessively even as his finances crumbled. By the time he returned to prominence, he was frail, paranoid, and broken from betrayal by friends and fans alike. He died of cancer on January 26, 1973, at age 79, never fully reclaiming his once dominant stature. John Derek was born on August 12, 1926, and played Joshua in the Ten Commandments in 1956 at age 30. Joshua was a man of action, fiercely loyal, and a brave Hebrew champion beside Moses. But Derek's off-screen life was a carousel of scandal cloaked in the glamour of Hollywood. He was more infamous for who he seduced than what he starred in, leaving first wife Patty Bears for 19-year-old Swiss bombshell Ursula Andress, sparking whispers of grooming and setting a pattern for his future. He later left Andress for 16-year-old Mary Kathleen Collins, who became the iconic Bo Derek, a move that drew legal scrutiny and societal backlash. Derek micromanaged Bo's career, shaping her image with an iron grip, often accused of exploiting her for fame. Despite early promise, his directing ventures were often critically panned, with Bolero and Tarzan, the Ape Man ridiculed as exploitative flops. He became a symbol of failed ambition masked by beautiful women. He died on May 22, 1998, of heart failure at 71. Yvonne De Carlo was born September 1, 1922, and at 34, brought warmth and mystique to the role of Sephora in the Ten Commandments. But the serene, loyal wife she played was a far cry from her turbulent personal life. Born into poverty, she was raised by a single mother and clawed her way into Hollywood using her looks and cunning. Known as the Queen of Technicolor, De Carlo was often difficult to direct, demanding top billing and storming off set if denied the spotlight. Her love life was a carousel of heartbreak, and engagement to stuntman Jock Mahoney ended disastrously when she discovered his infidelity. Her marriage to actor Bob Morgan collapsed after a tragic on-set accident left him crippled. She resented becoming his caretaker and their home turned toxic. Financial ruin followed, with De Carlo declaring bankruptcy in the 1980s. Off-screen, she battled depression, and friends described her as isolated and embittered in her final years. She died on January 8, 2007, at age 84 from natural causes. Cedric Hardwicke, born on February 19, 1893, portrayed Pharaoh Sethi in the Ten Commandments at age 63, lending regal gravitas to the role of a monarch wrestling with the future of Egypt and the fate of his sons. A distinguished British actor and knighted in 1934, Hardwicke had a commanding presence both on stage and on screen. However, his refined demeanor masked a sharp wit that often veered into cruelty. He was notorious for belittling American colleagues, criticizing their lack of theatrical training, and dismissing method acting as nonsense. While respected professionally, his personal life was troubled. His marriage to actress Helena Pickard collapsed amid allegations of infidelity and emotional neglect. Their son, actor Eduard Hardwicke, later described a home filled with tension and emotional coldness. Hardwicke's health deteriorated in his later years, with emphysema severely affecting his voice and energy. Cedric Hardwicke died of emphysema on August 6, 1964, in New York City at the age of 71. Martha Scott, born on September 22, 1912, was 44 when she portrayed Jochebed, Moses' birth mother, in the Ten Commandments. Her role as the quiet, steadfast Hebrew woman added depth and emotion to the epic narrative. Off-screen, Scott was admired for her elegance but lived through significant personal turmoil. Her early Hollywood success did not translate into consistent stardom, and she found herself repeatedly typecast in maternal roles. Her first marriage to radio producer Carlton Alsop ended amid allegations of adultery and financial instability. Privately, she grieved the loss of a child, a tragedy she rarely spoke of but that deeply affected her. Scott later remarried and focused on stage work, co-founding the Valley Theater in Los Angeles, where she found creative fulfillment. She was respected in theater circles but often lamented the industry's lack of serious roles for older women. Despite professional accolades, friends noted a lingering sadness and detachment in her final years. Martha Scott died of natural causes on May 28, 2003, in Van Nuys, California, at the age of 90. Nina Foch, born April 20, 1924, was 32 when she played Bethaia, the noble Egyptian princess who defied her father to raise Moses. On screen, she was dignity incarnate, but behind the scenes, Foch's life was a battleground of image control and suppressed turmoil. A European beauty with brains, she suffered from lifelong insecurities born from a fractured childhood, raised by a domineering mother after her father's early death. Foch's obsession with control manifested on set. Directors called her impossible, and crew avoided her infamous perfectionist tantrums. Though never embroiled in tabloid scandal, insiders spoke of her paranoia, career sabotage through micromanagement, and bitter feuds with actresses who threatened her spotlight. Her marriages were brief and tumultuous, with one ending after she allegedly bugged her husband's phone. She died on December 5, 2008, at 84, from complications related to myelodysplasia. Judith Anderson, born on February 10, 1897, was 59 when she took on the role of Memnet, the stern nursemaid whose truth-telling sets Moses on his path. Known for her commanding voice and steely expressions, Anderson was a formidable figure on screen and an even more intense one in life. Born in Australia, she built a formidable career in American theater, becoming one of the most respected classical actresses of her time. However, she often found Hollywood trivial and suffocating, preferring the emotional rigor of the stage. Never married and highly private, she endured constant speculation about her sexuality, particularly close relationships with female companions, which she never confirmed or denied. On set, she demanded perfection and was infamous for berating directors and co-stars alike. Despite the accolades, including an Emmy and a Tony, she remained, by many accounts, lonely and dissatisfied, feeling misunderstood in an industry that rewarded charm over intensity. Judith Anderson died of pneumonia on January 3, 1992, in Santa Barbara, California, at the age of 94. Olive Dearing, born October 11, 1918, portrayed Miriam in 1956 at age 38. Miriam's role as Moses' sister captured a mix of strength and melancholy, mirroring Dearing's own troubled existence. Although praised by Cecil B. DeMille for her dedication, Dearing's career never soared, overshadowed by her volatile emotional state and personal scandals. Her marriage to actor Leo Penn ended bitterly, with sources citing her jealousy and mood swings as a cause. Rumors of a nervous breakdown in the early 1960s led to her withdrawal from the public eye. Despite being a life member of the Actors Studio, she struggled to maintain her career amid bouts of depression and instability. Dearing was also rumored to have faced conflicts with Hollywood insiders, who labeled her difficult and unpredictable. She died of cancer on March 22, 1986 at 67, largely forgotten and isolated from the industry she once illuminated. Vincent Price was born on May 27, 1911, and portrayed the sadistic Egyptian master builder Baca in 1956 at the age of 45. Baca's character was a ruthless overseer, embodying cruelty and carnal desire, whose violent demise at Moses' hands symbolized the crushing of oppression. Off-camera, Price's life contrasted sharply with his refined image. Despite his polished public persona, he was blacklisted during the McCarthy era for his outspoken liberal views and refusal to name names, which cost him many roles and pushed him toward niche horror films. His personal life was equally turbulent. His second wife, Mary Grant, publicly accused him of emotional cruelty, and his daughter's revelations about his bisexuality stirred scandal in an era hostile to such openness. Price struggled privately with substance dependencies, particularly heavy smoking and alcohol, which exacerbated his Parkinson's disease and ultimately led to his death from lung cancer on October 25, 1993, at age 82. His legacy remains a complex mixture of elegance, eerie charisma, and concealed torment. John Carradine, born February 5, 1906, played Aaron in 1956 at age 50. Aaron's role as Moses' devoted brother brought a grounding voice of faith, but Carradine's real life was far more fractured. Famous for his booming voice and stage presence, Carradine was haunted by chronic alcoholism, which derailed many opportunities and turned him into a frequent guest in low-budget horror films. His personal relationships were fraught with dysfunction. He fathered 5 children, including actors David and Keith Carradine, yet was often absent or emotionally distant. His second wife, Sonia Sorrell, accused him of neglect and abuse, igniting a protracted custody battle that further exposed his volatile nature. Career setbacks, combined with his dependence on alcohol and self-destructive tendencies, led him into financial and emotional ruin. Carradine died alone in Milan on November 27, 1988, at 82, his final years a shadow of his former theatrical glory. Frank DeKova, born March 17, 1910, portrayed Abram in 1956 at age 46. Abram's rebellious defiance echoed DeKova's turbulent career, which was marred by typecasting and industry prejudice. Originally a schoolteacher, DeKova struggled against Hollywood's pigeonholing of him into ethnic stereotypes, frequently cast as Native American chiefs or gangsters, which he openly resented. Off-screen, he was known for a volatile temper and bouts of heavy drinking, which strained professional relationships and limited opportunities. His brief blacklisting due to left-wing political associations stalled his career during the Red Scare, and he never fully regained his footing. Though he found some success in comedic roles on television's F Troop, he felt trapped by the caricatures and never achieved mainstream respect. DeKova passed away quietly in his sleep from heart failure on October 15, 1981 at 71, leaving behind a complicated portrait of talent constrained by prejudice and personal demons. Eduard Franz was born on October 31, 1902, and played Jethro in 1956 at the age of 54. Jethro, the wise Midianite priest, offered Moses sanctuary and spiritual grounding. But Franz's own life was far from serene. A classically trained actor who once shared the stage with Paul Robeson, Franz's career was derailed by the Great Depression, forcing him into chicken farming in Texas, a humiliating fall for a man of the stage. Though he returned to acting, he never achieved leading man status, often relegated to ethnic roles that typecast his intense features. Behind the scenes, he was known for his perfectionism that bordered on obsession, alienating directors and co-stars alike. His marriage to Margaret Franz was strained by long separations and financial instability. In his final years, he battled a long illness in silence, refusing visitors and dying in near obscurity on February 10, 1983, at 80, a man whose gravitas on screen masked a life of quiet disappointment. Henry Wilcoxon, born September 8, 1905, played Pentor in 1956 at age 51. Pentor's noble warrior spirit belied Wilcoxon's difficult upbringing, abandoned as an infant and raised in orphanages where he endured abuse and malnutrition. His early life scars shaped a man who became a trusted associate of Cecil B. DeMille but was known behind the scenes for ruthless ambition and manipulative behavior. Wilcoxon's personal life was equally fraught. He was rumored to have had affairs with both men and women, scandalous in his conservative Hollywood circle. His marriage to actress Joan Woodbury ended in divorce, reportedly due to his controlling nature and infidelities. Estranged from his children for years, Wilcoxon lived a life of contradictions, balancing public respect with private turmoil. He succumbed to cancer on March 6, 1984 at 78, leaving a legacy shrouded in mystery, ambition, and emotional isolation. Donald Curtis, born February 27, 1915, portrayed Meard in 1956 at age 41. Meard was a minor but loyal Hebrew character, yet Curtis's real-life transformation was far more dramatic. After a modest Hollywood career filled with uncredited roles, Curtis abandoned acting and reinvented himself as a religious leader under his birth name, Curtis D. Rudolph. But whispers followed him, rumors of a mid-career breakdown, a failed marriage, and a scandal involving a brief affair with a co-star that allegedly led to his quiet blacklisting. His sudden pivot to the Church of Religious Science raised eyebrows, especially when he began preaching prosperity theology while living in relative luxury. Some former colleagues accused him of hypocrisy, claiming he used his spiritual platform to erase a checkered past. He died on May 22, 1997, at 82, leaving behind a legacy split between the pulpit and the soundstage. H.B. Warner was born on October 26, 1876, and portrayed Aminadab in 1956 at the age of 80. He was once revered for his iconic portrayal of Jesus Christ in The King of Kings, 1927, a role that cemented his place in silent film history. However, Warner's life took a darker turn as he struggled with alcoholism, which led to multiple arrests for public intoxication. His battle with addiction nearly cost him his role as the tormented druggist in It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, a testament to his enduring talent despite personal struggles. Warner's second marriage to Rita Stanwood ended in a scandalous divorce amid allegations of cruelty and abandonment, further staining his reputation. By the 1950s, he was seen as a relic of Hollywood's silent era, unable to fully adapt to changing times, and was known for his bitter outbursts and clashes with younger actors. He passed away on December 21, 1958, at age 82 from complications following a fall, an actor once seen as divine whose final years were marked by decline and relative obscurity. Lawrence Dobkin was born on September 16, 1919, and played her Ben Caleb in 1956 at age 37. His character was a minor Hebrew figure, but Dobkin's real-life story was anything but minor. A radio legend and prolific TV director, Dobkin was known for his intellect and his ego. He married 3 times, with his second wife, actress Joanna Barnes, publicly accusing him of emotional manipulation and infidelity. Dobkin was bald from age 18 and famously wore multiple wigs, a fact he joked about but privately loathed. His colleagues described him as brilliant but combative, often rewriting scripts on set and clashing with producers. Though he directed episodes of Star Trek and The Waltons, he was quietly pushed out of several projects due to his controlling nature. He died on October 28, 2002, at 83, a man whose voice was golden but whose personal life was riddled with static. Francis McDonald was born on August 22, 1891, and played Simon in 1956 at age 65. Simon, the frail Hebrew slave who dies pleading for freedom, was a haunting parallel to McDonald's own fading vitality. Once hailed as Hollywood's prettiest man, McDonald grew to resent his image, deliberately shaving off his mustache and choosing villainous, often uncredited roles to escape typecasting. His personal life was tumultuous. His marriage to actress Mae Bush ended in a bitter, public divorce rife with accusations of infidelity and violent arguments. Known behind the scenes as moody and difficult, McDonald frequently clashed with directors, particularly over his dwindling screen presence in later years. Though he appeared in over 280 films, his career stalled as the silent era faded, and he was largely forgotten by the time of his death on September 18, 1968, at 77. His final years were marked by isolation and bitterness, a man once radiant now swallowed by Hollywood's shadows. John Miljan, born November 9, 1892, portrayed the Blind One in 1956 at age 64. Known primarily for playing villains, Miljan was a consummate screen menace whose off-screen persona reportedly matched his on-screen coldness. He earned a reputation for his icy demeanor and was rumored to have actively sabotaged the careers of younger actors he perceived as rivals. His personal life was equally fraught with scandal. His marriage to Victoire Lowe was contentious, marked by her divorce from silent film star Creighton Hale and allegations of neglect, which she leveraged to gain custody of their children, whom Miljan later adopted. There were whispers that Miljan used his industry influence to damage Hale's career out of spite. Politically, Miljan was a conservative who campaigned for Herbert Hoover during the 1932 election, a stance that alienated many colleagues in Hollywood's predominantly liberal circles. He died from cancer on January 24, 1960, at the age of 67, remembered as a cold and calculating man whose legacy reflected the ruthless characters he so often portrayed. Joan Woodbury was born December 17, 1915, and portrayed Cora's wife in 1956 at age 41. Known for her exotic looks, Woodbury's career was punctuated by as much scandal and drama off-screen as on. She married her Ten Commandments co-star Henry Wilcoxon, but their relationship was far from serene. Rumors of infidelity, jealousy, and fiery public arguments circulated widely. Woodbury was infamous for her volatile temper, at one point storming off a film set after accusing the director of favoritism toward other actresses. After her Hollywood career sharply declined in the 1950s, she turned to regional theater, where she reportedly clashed frequently with younger performers, fueling a reputation for being difficult and bitter. Her final years were spent away from the limelight, and she died on February 22, 1989, at age 73, fading quietly from a world she once dominated with beauty and fire. Woody Strode was born July 25, 1914, and played the King of Ethiopia in 1956 at age 42. A trailblazer as one of the first black NFL players and a Hollywood actor, Strode's life was a study in contrasts between public achievement and private pain. Although he broke racial barriers in both sports and film, he was often confined to stereotypical exotic roles that limited his career growth. His marriage to Hawaiian princess Lukiluana Kalailoa ended tragically with her death, which plunged him into long-lasting grief and bouts of depression. Less known is his 1936 nude pose for an Olympic art exhibit banned by the Nazis, an act of defiance that remained a closely guarded secret. Despite a public stoic demeanor, Strode struggled with loneliness and racial isolation in Hollywood's limited, often discriminatory environment. He died of lung cancer on December 31, 1994, at age 80, a pioneer overshadowed by the stereotypes he fought so hard to transcend. Who is your favorite character in the Ten Commandments? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.